Hello students, welcome to the class on current affairs, and in today's class we will be dealing with an important issue that has unfolded recently in the Indian economy, and this relates to the labor issues, labor laws in India. Now, what is the controversy, what is the issue around this labor laws? In order to understand this, we actually need to understand the concerns of labor, and we also need to understand the concern of the corporate class, the owners, the proprietors of the companies, of the manufacturing units, of the industries. Now, before we understand the concern of the laborers and the concern of the corporate class, we need to also understand the political dimension of this labor as a subject. Now, when it comes to labor as a subject, it falls under concurrent list. Now, because it falls under concurrent list, we have numerous laws that has been legislated by the central government as well as the state governments. So we in India, we have plethora of laws on labor. We have Labor Contract Act, we have Industrial Disputes Act, we have Apprenticeship Act. So there are numerous acts. Every state has its own act. Delhi government has its own act for the laborers. Punjab has its own act. Haryana has its own act. Tamil Nadu has its own act. Union government has numerous laws on the labor. Now, like India ushered in the market economy in 1991. So this was the period when India has become a country which had adopted the market thing. So we have basically trusted with the market forces. The market से हिंदुस्तान की इकोनॉमी काफ़ी करीब आ गया. पहले स्टेट डोमिनेट करती थी, बाद में स्टेट के बाद मार्केट को हमने अलाउ कर दिया. जब मार्केट को हमने अलाउ किया, जब हमने प्राइवेट सेक्टर को अलाउ किया, जब हमने लिबरलाइजेशन को अलाउ किया, तो जो लेबर की सिचुएशन था, जो व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन ऑफ द लेबर, इट बिगिन टू डिटीरियोरेट. Labor class begin to feel the heat of the liberalization. The labor class begin to feel the pinch of this transition of the Indian economy from the state-led economy to the market-led economy. Now, we will be understanding what are the concerns of labor and how these concerns are related to 1991 reforms. Now, when one becomes a part of a company, of a private company, what he or she wants a social security. The company should not retrench him. The company should not dismiss him, terminate him. The company should also be providing some kind of provident fund type of benefits. The company should be taking care of whenever he or she falls sick. The company should provide such kind of security measures. There should be something to fall back on. So these are the general concerns of labor, because when you become part of an industry, you devote your years to that company, you develop certain skills that a particular company requires. So you actually want to stay with that company, because your skills that you have developed by staying in a company are related to the requirement of that company. But when Indian economy transited into this phase of market-led economy, these companies in which the labor was working, they begin to feel the heat of the competition around. And they begin to realize that they could not compete with the foreign counterparts. And the companies in which the labor was working, Indian labor was working, they begin to feel the heat of retrenchment. They begin to feel the heat of being terminated. But because the corporate class could not sustain the burden of the labor pays. They could not sustain the price of the labor. Because if you are employing a labor on a permanent basis, you need to actually pay them high, because this is the standard. And after this 1991 reforms, the companies that had opened up in India, they had always wanted to actually have this labor on the contract basis, because if you are having them on contract basis, you actually pay them less. You have the provision to actually retrench them with ease. आप उनको जल्दी से निकाल सकते हो. So the concern of the corporate class primarily relates to the fluctuations in the business, because we have businesses that actually are immune to the cyclical situations of the economy. There are certain business that will do well in throughout the year. There are business that will not do well throughout the years. They are susceptible to how the monsoon unfolds. They are susceptible to the tax rebates of the government. They are susceptible to the subsidies that the government is providing or the government is not providing them. So in such a situation, the corporate class, what they want is, they want actually ease. Now this is a very big word. They want ease in retrenching the labor. They want ease in hiring the labor at the contract. They want ease in how the disputes are settled with the laborers. Now, because India was a welfareist country, since India got its independence, welfareist, and this is the reason that we have accorded a lot of importance to the labor class, and that is the reason why we have numerous laws for the protection of the labor rights. And India is also a member of International Labour Organization. India has certain obligations, and it is for these meeting up these obligations, India had always supported its labor class. But now its commitment for the labor and its commitment for ease of doing business, they are actually both in the opposite direction. Because if we want ease of doing business, we actually need to actually tone down these labor laws, because the labor laws in India are very strict. If you want to wind up a venture in India, if you want to make up an exit in India, in that case, you need to actually provide all the benefits to the labor. You cannot retrench your labor if your setup has been organized under Factories Act and you are employing more than the threshold limit that has been mentioned. You need to provide all social security benefits. So it is all about providing social security benefits. It is all about supporting the labor. It's all about bearing the burden of the labor that is hitting the corporate class. But the labor, they want protection, they want welfare, because they have invested their time in the corporation. But of late, what India is witnessing, like I've told you in the beginning, that this labor, it falls under concurrent list. And of late, what India is witnessing, we have states like Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Rajasthan. They already have altered their labor laws. So the labor is not being provided the protection that they actually should be as required by ILO. But by making them pliable to the requirements of the corporate class, certainly the government is promoting ease of doing business. So this is what is unfolding on the front of labor laws in India. So this was all for the day. Bye bye, take care, have a nice day.